Hi, everybody. So I will talk about the research impact on product decisions. And to first illustrate how I see what's the role of researcher in product management, I want to talk about car rally. So in the picture here, you can see the main driver and the co-driver in a rally car. The main driver is the person behind the wheel making decisions, and the co-driver is the person who reads the map, who says, for example, how sharp the curves are, what's behind the curve, etc., so that the main driver could make better decisions. And I would say that basically main driver is like the product manager, and co-driver is like the product researcher. So the researcher helps to understand what's behind the corner and therefore helps to increase the unknown in the product management world. Also, in car rally, cars drive super fast. The environment very often is very difficult. And when you think about product management, the situation is pretty much the same. You have to go on a very high speed in order to stay in competition. And the environment is pretty difficult. So you need to make quick and smart decisions. That's that much about the rally philosophy. A few words also about myself. I studied sociology and actually never imagined that I would work in product development or in a software company. And therefore, after university studies, I actually worked as a business consultant. But at some point, the Pipedrive product and design team felt that they need someone dedicated for research to understand the sales and our customers better. And this is how the researcher job description landed on my page. I applied and I'm very happy that I'm here. And when I joined 3.5 years ago, then our product team, in the product team, we had 10 product managers and I think around eight designers. And I was the first and then also only researcher. But now the product team has grown and the research team also has grown. So in the product team, we have 6 researchers in 4 different locations and me. And I'm also starting from this autumn teaching product design students in Academy of Arts, of course, about product research. Few words also about the Pipedrive or our product and engineering organization, so that you would maybe understand a bit better how we work. We are divided into teams based on our roles. So we have a team of design and research, data, PMing, and engineering. But in every day, we actually work together so that people from those different teams work together on a shared goal. When I will talk about the impact of research, I will walk you through 2 examples of how we have done research and how it has impacted the product decisions we have made. But before I do that, I wanted to show you this graph here to illustrate that every decision, product decision, whatever decision we make in life, there are many different factors that we need to take into account. And in product management, for example, it can be competition analysis, market opportunities, user research, your own company strategy and vision, etc., etc. And I will focus on the user research, but wanted to show you this graph to illustrate that users and user needs are very important in product decisions, but not the only aspect to think about. The first example will be about how we redesigned our mobile app. The old version of Pipedrive mobile app, or the old landing page for Pipedrive mobile app, was the first stage of pipeline. And in the first stage, usually there are either very early stage deals or contacts that people even haven't, the salespeople even haven't talked to yet. And the new version we have right now, the new landing page is basically a to-do list, is like a view where you can see your to-do list, your calendar invites, quick access to your emails. And so why did we decide to make this change, to change the landing page for salespeople when they use our mobile app? The research started with a PM's question about what salespeople need on the go, because we already had seen from previous research that Pipedrive mobile app is usually needed when salespeople are either visiting their customers or they want to be very use their time very wisely. And for example, they need to check something when they are going from home to work or from work to home. And so we put together a list of different statements, what is needed when they're on the go. So for example, I need to quickly get some information about my deals, or I quickly need to check sales reporting. I quickly need to take notes about the meeting I had, etc., etc. And then we sent out the maximum differentiation survey. You can see a screenshot from this survey here. And how this survey works is that people are shown 4 statements, and they have to pick which one is the most important and which one is the least important, which also says the 2 that they didn't pick are somewhat important between those 2. And how these type of surveys usually are done is that people are sent, let's say, 20 statements, and they have to rate them on a scale from 0 to 10. And probably what you have seen, what very often happens is that everybody rates them with 7 or 8, or they don't vary actually, or they think they don't take time to think through how important something is, and you actually don't learn much. But when using this MaxDiff survey, you understand what is more important compared to something else. And so based on this survey, we understood that a salesperson who's on the go, who's like visiting the customers basically the whole week, who's really not in the office, for them, the most important thing is either to get information quickly from the app or to insert information quickly into the app. Might be, for example, that the salesperson comes from a meeting and has only half an hour to go to the next meeting, or even 15 minutes. And during this 15 minutes or half an hour, the person has to quickly take notes from this first meeting and also prepare for the next meeting. And this is why we changed the landing page for the mobile app. So instead of seeing the deals the person probably doesn't want to work on, they will see where they have to go next. They can quickly take the notes, they can quickly access the emails, or whatever else is needed when they're on the go. This was the first example. Second example is about, I would say, how we decided to offer value to our customers instead of just improving our own product. From different research we have done, we already know that calling, emailing, and messaging are the 3 main channels for salespeople to communicate with their customers. And what we already had done was that Pipedrive users can sync Pipedrive account with their email provider so that they have their emails in Pipedrive. They can have the emails together with the other context about the deal, like, for example, what other deals they already have had before with this organization or person. Very often, actually, salespeople do say that they track what pets the person has they're trying to sell to something, or what's the pet name, etc. So to like make more friendly connection. And in when you go to Pipedrive, to the sales inbox, then next to this email body on the right side, there is this sidebar where you can see, in case you already have this contact in your Pipedrive, you can see some background information. Might be, for example, what's the job title of the person, what's the name of the dog of this person, how many deals you already have had with this person, what's the deal value, etc., etc. Whatever the salesperson thinks is valuable. And you can also see some background information about the deal if it exists. In case the contact and deal don't exist, then you can quickly create it from this sidebar. What we also knew about communication in sales is that in our biggest market, that is small and medium-sized businesses in US, Gmail is the most popular email provider. And this is also what we see in our customer base, that more or less half of the users have a Gmail account. And so knowing that emailing is very important part of sales process, knowing that Gmail also is very widely used, we started research to understand better the workflows around email communication and Gmail, and understood that for several reasons, it's really difficult to make people to drop the habit of using Gmail and starting to use more Pipedrive email. And so what we decided to do was that instead of this time improving something in our own email inbox, we actually started to build the sidebar for the add-on for Gmail, so that it's so that when they work in Gmail, they also have the sidebar with the contextual information. Because as we like to say that Pipedrive's motto is or Pipedrive's goal is to make sales inevitable, success in sales inevitable, then we really wanted to offer the value to our customers. And we see that having this background information about your contact, your deal, really helps to close the deal faster and better. Then we saw that having this sidebar is valuable for our customers. And yeah, I would on a more abstract level say that this research helped to look further from our own product. And yes, that was my last slide. So these were the two examples about how research has impacted product decisions. Also some rally philosophy. If you have any questions, comments, happy to discuss.
I have two questions, but they're really the same. So can you tell us something about how general feedback and proper research are related? And for example, does feedback inspire proper research? And also, how do you once you start having massive amounts of feedback, how do you filter the relevant ones?
Mm-hmm. So the first question was how this general feedback that maybe let's say can come through support is related to the research that we do in the product team. Yes. I see that this feedback that comes from the customers that they initiate, this is exactly a good inspiration for the further research. But the whole time I've been in Pipedrive, and I know that also before I was here, we always have had this very strong opinion or approach that we don't want to build exactly what customers ask, because very often what customers ask is already solutions, and we, before building something, want to understand the why behind it. One very often asked feature has been mandatory fields. So basically that you maybe, for example, you couldn't save a deal in Pipedrive before you have filled in some mandatory fields. Let's say the role of the person or the deal size, something around that. And so many customers ask it, but we have never wanted to build it because we see that this is usually the need for sales managers, but not the need of salespeople. And we always wanted to focus on the needs of salespeople. Therefore, we made the strategic decision to not to build exactly this, but we still went on to research that area and came up with, I think it was called, important fields, so that both would be happy, salespeople and sales managers. So to sum up, I would say that when someone, like we get some requests from customers, then yes, we read them through, but we always go back and ask why to understand what's the actual need. And the other question was what?
Yeah, how do you filter all this feedback? Like, for example, do you have some specific tools that you use internally to sort the most important ones, or can you give any advice?
We are working on that. We right now have 6 researchers, I think around 25 PMs, so a lot of people, and all of them kind of are talking to our customers, doing research, and yeah, all of them are doing research.
All right, cool. Any other questions? Yeah. Can you catch it?
I think I kind of didn't finish the answers, so I will also do that before the next question. So we are working on a way how to structure all the feedback from customers, all the research insights, so that the whole company, let's say someone is researching something about sales reporting, but they always also hear about, let's say, time management or something else. So we're thinking through a system how to do that. Product board is the tool we currently use for that.
So my question is, at which point in the company life cycle a product researcher is needed?
I like that question. Well, I wonder, talking also to different PMs from different companies, I've understood that it somewhat depends also what's your service and or what's your service or product, and who is your customer. If I can take a bit longer time to answer to this question, what I've seen in Pipedrive is that how the company develops. When we have those monthly updates, so that every month the whole company comes together, and then the managers from different departments share what has happened. And it was just when I joined, when we had this monthly update, the head of product, the head of marketing, the head of support gave the overviews. And at the end of this update, an engineer raised his hand and asked, but how come engineers never give those overviews? And I really don't remember what was the answer then, but for me, it kind of symbolized that Pipedrive started as an engineering company. We were building a software, very logical. But when I already joined, then we were a product-focused company already. The engineering wasn't anymore so much making the core decisions, but rather the product team. And now 3.5 years later, I see that we also are moving on from this product-focused stage to user-focused stage. Like the example about Gmail add-on, we only don't think about how can we improve the product, but also how can we actually offer the value to our customers, and sometimes it might be outside of our product. So it seems to me that definitely when this product-focused phase has arrived, why not already earlier? But I've understood that in the early phase, very often you need to build a lot, and PMs also do some generic research already.
Thank you.
My question, do you differ the feedback by activity index? For example, you have premium users who use it every day, who use 90% of the app, and then you have users who have you use maybe 10% of all the features. Do you differ the feedback behind the relevancy? For example, my hypothesis would be that if there is a premium user and he gives a feature request versus a user who actually uses only 10%, henceforth, maybe he just doesn't know how to use the system at all. Do you differ the feedback or not?
I think that differentiation is needed, but always, it's not that easy that we take more into account the feedback from active users, and we don't listen that much to the people who don't use the product that much. It depends what's my research goal, and then I decide whether I need to talk to active users, not active users, new users, old users, the ones who have email integration with Pipedrive or not. So the criteria always depends on the research question.
Okay, and I have one more question. Do you think that does a product researcher or a product manager have to use the product itself every day?
I think it's definitely good. Not sure if it has to be like every day, but if we also in research team, we use Pipedrive account ourselves to track our research studies, and I see that it makes us actually feel the customer pain more, and definitely is good.
Thank you.
Hi. What would you advise for a startup, like how to run a research if you have insufficient, like everything for running the research? Like, what is the most reliable method, in your opinion, of course?
So, like how to run, where to start from, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, what method would you advise for a startup that has no? You got it.
Well, it would be interesting to talk to you later and understand better what you want to research, more specific, or what's the field. I guess you can, like, one option, I know that you don't probably have much money, but one option is to hire some good, like, I don't like to say agency, but like, for example, there is this Center of Applied Anthropology, and they can they are like the professionals of conducting research, and they could help you out. But if you want to do it on your own, I guess talking to other companies, other product teams or software companies that already have done research, and yeah, like where exactly to start from. Like I feel I'm like giving you a very rounded answer. I would like to understand better what is your company and what questions you have in mind.
This one is just abstract, and yeah, it is a hypothesis. So I have the second one, if you don't mind. How you evaluate like different like points of research? Let's say you're researching something, and you got like you understood that this feature is important and this feature is important for the users. How you decide that this is the point to kind of start building it? Okay.
One option, like the first example I brought about this mobile app, there we use this MaxDiff survey. So this basically is a tool that helps to understand what customers think, what need is more important. And this really was very helpful because I remember that in our roadmap, or like we had the idea to start building reporting views in the mobile app, but we actually learned that inserting data quickly and also getting information quickly is way more important. So this is one way how to prioritize. And I would say we also are working on how to prioritize better. What we try to do is to estimate what's the potential size of target group, what could be the stickiness rate, like how often people could use it, and so yeah, it's like a combination of different factors.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have two questions. First question is about prototyping. Since you have so many different ideas what to do, are you also generating some sort of a prototypes in order to find out, do some A/B testing, for example, to find out this is the thing the customer actually care about, or if, for example, you want to have a new functionality and then you're going to put out those ideas to the customers and measure the results. And also the second question is, if you measure the results, do you measure two sides? Is it like a Fortland, or is it more like a skin in the game? So you're going to measure that if the customers really sign up or pay for that.
About prototyping, yes, of course, we do prototyping, and we have tested the prototypes in various ways. Like sometimes we have, like most of our customers are abroad, so we have had calls with them. We show them some prototypes, and we ask them to go to do some tasks, and then we see how the customer interacts with the like half-ready solution. We also have done at least a few times those ghost store experiments where we put let's say just a picture in the product to see whether people click there or not. The picture should represent the entry point for the new feature. And this gives us understanding how needed this solution would be. I know at least once we also have done with the reporting views that we invited customers to our office, and then we used paper and pen, and they had to show what kind of reports they want. So yeah, we have done different kinds of prototyping. And the second question was how we measure whether to continue with it or not.
Well, basically, if you have two options, one is like a feature, like in a Fortland, another is like skin in the game. So customer needs to pay for that or give their email or like something they really count on. It's just idea. I like the idea, but more like, I don't know, you're going to increase the price. You want to see if it makes sense to increase the price if you have this feature now.
I think we haven't done the second. At least I don't remember any example.
Okay, thank you.
So the question was, how do we get users for testing? We usually test on our own customers, and we have the email addresses of all our customers. So we either send them an email or we send the link through intercom chat to our customers. Sometimes we have also interviewed non-customers, and then we have used the help of some agencies that recruit salespeople for us. Yep, these are the two main.
I have last one. Do you also have like some sort of a candy that they're giving to the customers who are participating, and what is it?
We usually either give Pipedrive like cups or thermos or notebook, or like some Pipedrive gift or Amazon gift cards. Sometimes depending on what we think, how interested the person is. Like the less interested the person himself is, the less interested the person is, then we probably give him Amazon gift cards. Well, I feel, the question was that how often it happens that research comes back with some results, then the PM says that, nah, I don't believe it, and still builds what he or she thought that is better solution. I always feel it's very difficult for me to answer this question because the researcher and the PM really work together, and it's not so that the PM says that I want to understand this, then the researcher comes back with results and presents them and says goodbye. But actually, first the PM briefs the researcher about what should be researched, and then the researcher puts together the research plan, and then they sync it together. After the researcher, let's say the researcher wants to conduct 10 interviews, after 2 or 3 interviews, we very often already share what the results of those first interviews have been. Then we can tweak the interview script, and it's like a cooperation. And of course, when the researcher comes back with some results, it doesn't mean that this is now what we're going to build. It's still a discussion, but I really feel that it's a mixture of research results, competitor analysis, business goals, etc. Yeah, I don't have my slides anymore, but this one slide where on the right side there was the decision, and then there were different factors what feed the decision.
Do you have any advice on how to choose the sample size? Like how much research is enough?
That's always a good question. I once heard someone saying that the question should be, what's the optimal number of people to talk to? And I think the word optimal is good to keep in mind. And also that the aim of research is not to say what's the truth, but the aim of research is to increase the unknown. And I think it's like those two, the word optimal and knowing that you're just reducing the unknown are important, because it's not always about how many people you talk to, but who are the people you talk to. When we talk about usability testing, really like 5 or 6 people give you around 80% of the things you could improve. You can go and test on 50 people, 100 people. You always get more things you could fix. But the question is whether all these things that come out are important to fix. And when talking about more exploratory research, then yes, more than 5, but is it 10, 15, 20? Difficult to say. Depends on what's exactly your question, whether you want to research just like, let's say, one type of people, or you want to talk to like different segments. So there isn't any formula, sorry.
Right. Got it.